You got to get what they call the butt monkey. You got to get the little guy.
The
like
butt
Snarf
monkey.
or Slimer or... Even Rubik's Cube had a
gotta
friggin'
get the
little
butt
dog.
monkey.
Gotta get the butt monkey in there.
Hey, welcome to This Week in Nerd History, a podcast where we talk about all the fun, dumb, nerdy stuff from the past, present, future. I'm Mike. Joining me as always, we've got AJ and Sal. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Great. Almost hurt my neck.
Yep.
I was just nodding along with you, and I was like, ow.
That is
Oh, no.
commitment.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I played a Nintendo growing up.
My bones hurt. I was on vacation. I was just telling these guys I had like a mini existential crisis on vacation. This has nothing to do with being on vacation itself. Like that, it's fantastic. But like I have to work kind of all the time. Just whenever I run a studio and I run a YouTube channel, it's a lot of shit to just kind of keep up with. And I'm also a workaholic, so that's my own fault. But I was working a lot on vacation, and then I was just sort of like sitting there. I was like, I don't think I know how to enjoy things anymore. And like, just in my head, that's just like, whatever. I'm just like, I just need to like, in my head, it's just like, I need to relax. But when I said it out loud, like I was talking to a director friend earlier this week, and I said that out loud. I was like, I don't really think I know how to like enjoy things. He goes, oh, that got serious. I was like, yeah, it kind of did.
That sounds like you are clinically depressed.
Yeah, I was like, jeez. Saying it like, I really didn't mean it to say it, but I was like, that's kind of not what I meant. But I was also too like, I don't know.
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah, but it was like part of it to me in my explanation or denial, whatever you want to call it. The stuff I get to do is I get to do this and I get to make cartoons and I get to draw and like talk about making cartoons like all day long. That's literally my job. I do all day long. And that's the type of shit that I like to do my whole life.
Yeah.
And so like when your hobby becomes your career, now I don't know. When people ask me what I do for fun, I'm like, I don't really know what it is that I do for fun, because it's usually like, I've got some time off. Cool. I'm going to write some stuff, but that's like, I'll write for Dorkly. So that's just work again. So there's like no real separation. And like the other thing I still like to do is run, but I'm like hurt all the time. And I'm like, I can't run forever. Yeah. So like I just need like a new fucking hobby. I think that's going to
We need to play
everything.
D&D again.
Yeah, that would be fucking, that was so much fun.
That would be awesome.
Like, yeah.
Let's do it.
Except for the times when I'm like, I have a call in 15 minutes and we need to wrap up.
We need to wrap
and like,
now.
I'm just like the curmudgeon guy who, again, can't enjoy things. So like, if we find time to just do it and I don't have to fucking worry about it,
Yeah.
be great. That was so much
Let's
fun.
do it. It was so
Sal,
much
did you
fun.
ever play D&D?
Oh yeah. No, I played D&D not like much later in life. Like I remember playing it in college, and it was like, it was great, but it was also like, it was everything that you imagine your first time playing is. Like, you know, like the DM is a dude and he's playing like a drug lord, a crime lord woman, and you need to seduce her in order to get through the situation. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be playing this game very long. And it's not, you know, I'm not suggesting that it's inappropriate. I'm just saying, you know, it was an uncomfortable moment for all of us. And,
Right.
and I was like, I don't know. But then I realized like our first session was over and it was 9 hours and I didn't notice. And I was like,
That's crazy.
Like that was fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I had a good time.
Yeah.
And I had a new boyfriend. And
It's life-changing.
it's just life-changing for me. But that was like my first D&D session. And then I never played again for like 3 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then my wife like suddenly like was just like, how come we don't play D&D? And I was like, what? And so we played a bunch of different games. I ran like a game at one point. And we even filmed like a whole thing. Like I did this whole like superhero RPG. Like when it was hot. We did like a whole superhero RPG that was like, I don't know how many hours, 5-6 hours. We filmed it. I rented cameras. It was a whole thing. And it was really cool.
Man.
And I really want to do
Nice.
more, but it's hard to make, as you know, like DMing a game. It's like, you got to come up with the whole thing. And Lord knows I did not prepare. Like, you know, I prepared a little bit, but I was like, well, you know, I know that they're not going to ask me any lore questions. They're going to go off, you know, the beaten path, and they did. And I was like, oh, I gotta wait.
And anything that you do prepare is going to be just not
Thrown
like,
away.
You're going to get so pissed off if it's not used. That would happen all the time with our DM.
I was always amazed because James, who worked here for a while, was our DM. He was great. Like,
he was fantastic.
Super prepared, voices, get into character, all this stuff. Like, got everybody super into it. And we ruined his Fridays constantly.
We ruined it so much. He would be like, there's this mysterious person in the corner of the pub. What are you guys gonna do? And we're like, okay, we're gonna beat up the bartender.
Yeah.
And we're gonna steal all their money. And he's like, you sure you don't wanna like talk to this person? Like they're hunched over and they're looking like
the funniest one, I crack up about it just thinking about it, was because we had a similar thing. We recorded a whole long form session, like because we play every Friday. And we had this whole plan. We could still do it because we have all the recordings and stuff.
We could still do it.
Should.
Is doing a Kickstarter to like fund it and like make it into like sort of a like a Zelda Link to the Past, that style, like kind of top down.
Yeah.
Set as a game, but with our
2D
characters
game.
and stuff like that. Yeah. So we had all that set, made all our characters, and we're all like undead for to start, and the journey is kind of unraveling like what happened to each one of our stories and stuff. And the very first session in this new campaign, we're coming up from like a basement, and we don't know where we are, and we're in some like woman's house. This is like, you know, medieval-ish times or whatever you want to call it. And this lady comes up. We're all panicked. This lady comes down the stairs, and there's like you hear footsteps coming down the stairs. What do you do? And there's a shadowy figure, whatever. We all panicked and killed the lady. And then we're like, let's go outside. Immediately. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we finished that session. After the session, James is like, she had all of your information.
She had so much backstory for you.
All the stuff that we needed to do. All we needed to do was just fucking talk to this lady. Yeah. And we instantly killed her. And now it's like, all right, and then we're just like, go outside of the courtyard, hide from the, like, it's just chaos instantly. And like,
house on fire.
None of us knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
I was
actually thinking about our sessions the other day, because Travis was like, he would always play at night, and his first thing would always be just like kill, attack first thing. And there was even one time where like we were in a situation, I don't remember exactly what it was, but, you know, it's kind of like James finishes his description of whatever's happening, and Travis is just like, all right, I throw a javelin at him, and we all go, no!
Stop! 1 second. It got to the point where it was like, I'm not helping you in the situation, and you're going to get whatever you get. Right?
It was just javelin.
Yeah, I really wish I played that when I was younger, but it was just like my group of friends, it just wasn't a thing. It was more just like video games, or just like you're in sports or whatever.
Yeah.
I wish I played Doom.
It wasn't the same circle.
No, we didn't do it either. Like, it was not available. It wasn't like a thing that was even an option for us back then.
Yeah, that's true.
What's funny about that is that we did go LARPing, which is
really
about 10 times
you were a LARPer?
more. No.
No, you were not.
I have LARPed. I LARPed
but you're
once.
not a LARPer.
I am not a LARPer. And in fact, none of my friends...
Little sachet bags that are spells that you throw at people's feet and stuff.
One day we can dedicate an entire episode to my LARPing adventures, which is one day. Actually, it was 3 days, but it was one session. But like, apropos of that, we saw a brochure for LARPing. We didn't know what it was called. We didn't know the stigma attached to it back then. It's much more ubiquitous now. Everyone's
for
LARPing.
sure. Yeah,
hey, that's fun now.
Yes.
Well, back then it was not, and but I saw it and I was like, "This is amazing." Showed my friend. He immediately just like hyper fixated on it, and we started like going to Home Depot and like making foam weapons, and like because we were already hitting each other in the woods with sticks as swords anyway. So like,
of course.
And we were like, all right, these kind of hurt. So like, we got to build up a tolerance to this. So we beating the shit out of each other like about 3 hours a day.
Build up a tolerance.
Well, because that's what they use. You know, when we get there, these guys are going to have like 10 years experience on us, and they're going to beat the crap out of us.
You think they're actually going to beat?
So we, when we cut to like a year or so later, when we finally do go, and we have spell packets, like they're like, I think they're filled with beans. So we got like, kidney, we got like the beans you use to hold down pies, and we're like, they're in satchels, and we made them, and they look great, but they're like 2 pounds.
It's a cornhole bag.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a
they're cornhole
lot.
bags. They're 100% cornhole bags. And so, like, we go, and they're like, okay, first of all, these swords are not regulation. They have to go. Like, these are going to the garbage. They're not going
They're not
anywhere near.
regulation.
Yeah, they're like, these are heavy. And we're like, yeah. We
one
followed
of
the
our friends
instructions.
is dead.
You got to use what, like
killed one
PVC
of our
with some
friends
foam
last
on it.
Yeah, it's PVC with foam. And duct tape over. We're like, we got that. They're like, no, like this. And then and I'm like, this thing's really light. That's
like,
amazing.
yeah.
We self-taught ourselves. And then they're like, what the hell are these? And I'm like, those are spell packets. They're like, no.
These are
And they
bombs.
Yeah, those are bombs. They're like, the spell packets were this big. I go, well, how the hell are you going to find those
Yeah.
in the woods? And they're like, look, maybe you shouldn't even be here.
You shouldn't be here. They can be brightly colored.
Yeah.
That's how you find them.
Well,
Yeah.
are the ones filled with batteries okay at least? Can I at least use these?
It was so close to that, it's not even funny.
Hey, it's me, Mike. Parker, from the podcast you're currently watching and or listening to. Anyway, I wanted to take a second and thank the sponsor of this podcast, NordVPN. Now, it may not look like it, but I actually exist outside of this desk area and chair. So when I travel for work to go sit in other desk areas and other chairs, I always use NordVPN. Like if I'm in the airport and using public Wi-Fi, everything gets routed between my phone and the NordVPN server, so all my personal data gets protected. Another thing that's great about NordVPN, the last time I was in India for some desk area sitting, I was having an issue accessing my bank online. I couldn't contact the bank to try and fix it that way, but thankfully with NordVPN, I was able to connect to a US server, got a US IP address, and was able to do my online banking that way, which was fantastic because I needed to buy all the paneer I could possibly get. If you don't know what paneer is, it is a cheese that you can grill or fry, and you can put it in dishes, and I ate a lot of it, and it was a problem. It still is a problem. I need paneer today. I'm not kidding. Anyway, to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/dorkly and you'll get 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. And there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So check out the link in the description. All right, thanks again to NordVPN. Now let's get back to the podcast where Sal said he's going to reenact the entire 2019 Cats movie, all the characters, all the songs, all the costumes. Let's watch. AJ, you went and saw Elio twice?
I did, yes. It was because it came out and we were in the middle of a heat wave and we don't have air conditioning in our house. So we made a plan because there's supposed to be 3 days in a row where it was going to be really hot. We were like, we're just going to go to the movies 3 days in a row. And we saw Elio the first night. And the kids really liked it. So the second night, we were like, we can go and we can go see Lilo and Stitch again, or we can see How to Train Your Dragon. And they were like, no, we want to see Elio. So we watched it twice. And the first time we missed the beginning. So the second time we kind of got the beginning. We were still kind of late. We were really bad at being on time for shit. But it was fun. I'm kind of sad that like it's the thing that nobody saw.
Yeah.
It's got a really good score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it just nobody was watching it, I think.
Disney made no attempt to market it, and I heard like they meddled with it in a big bad way. Apparently it was supposed to be like a kind of queer forward movie by the director, and then like the director was either sacked or just gagged. And they were just and then a new director was brought on board, or 2 new directors, something like that. It was just a whole quagmire. And of course, like, we don't hear any of this until after the movie bombs. It's just like, I just remember seeing on my like Amazon Fire TV just Elio, just a big banner ad that said thing that looks like Steven Universe again, and I was like, nah, sorry.
He does look a little like Steven Universe.
Yeah. I don't know what the solution is, but like where that money can be spent to market it stuff anymore, that's like kind of far reaching, like before, like we were talking about it before too with other stuff, or if it's not just like regular traditional cable, which is just dying, and then the internet is just sort of like regional or whatever your algorithm says to feed you, that kind of shit. So like where do you market stuff that's consistent for everybody to see it? I don't really know what that is, unless it's just like do it everywhere and make sure everybody sees it across all platforms. Like, and that's got to cost a shitload of money, and they just don't have that anymore. So it sucks because then like the headline is, this movie bombed, Pixar sucks. It's like,
Yeah.
But like,
because that just gets you to
Pixar's
click on the
great.
article.
Of course.
The movie doesn't
Yeah.
suck. The movie is pretty good. I would recommend it. My favorite part is the friend that he makes. He makes friends with this little like wormy creature, and then he has like a translator so he can talk to him. And the little wormy friend is just, I mean, he's fantastic. In one of the trailers, they show like, oh, I've never been a bargaining chip before. I've been like a nuisance. I've been an inconvenience. I've been a write-off. I've been like, it's just got a good little sense of humor in him.
That's great.
That type of character to me somehow never gets old. It's in every like Disney movie, Pixar movie, or whatever. But just like the little sidekick, all this like personality just like concentrated into this one little thing, and it just always works for me. It always becomes my favorite character, or it's like used perfectly to kind of, be a comic relief in a scene or whatever. But I don't know why it always. I'm trying to think of one that just didn't work, and like, but even like the chicken in Milano, like it doesn't even do anything. I'm like, yeah, this guy's great.
This guy's fantastic.
I love that guy.
Eating rocks
He's
and almost
fantastic.
dying all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Screaming at the ocean. He's the best. He's absolutely the best.
Yeah. That's
Love
similar to
it.
Tangled. I like that Pascal guy. He's great.
It's like a cheat code for a Disney movie or something.
You got to get what they call the butt monkey. You got to get the little guy.
The
like
butt
Snarf or
monkey.
Slimer or... Even Rubik's Cube had
I
a
gotta
friggin'
get the
little dog.
butt monkey.
Gotta get the butt monkey
I
in
was
there.
surprised to find out after I saw Elio, Dan sent me one of the original trailers, and the story was just totally different. In like the first trailer that they put out, it was like he was getting sucked into space and he was terrified of it. Whereas in the movie, he wants to go to space. Like he wants aliens to abduct him, and that's kind of like one of the best parts of the movie is like this kid is just not scared of shit. There's this one part where he's thrown into like a dungeon, like a jail cell, and there's a skeleton there, and like it could easily like it looks scary, and there's scary music, and I like thought like, okay, my kids are gonna be super scared right now, but he just goes over and he sits down and he just like leans over on the skeleton, and then it collapses, and it's such a fun little funny moment. Like he's just not scared of these scary things.
Early character design stuff and like early iterations of the character, like it was clear like that was the direction that they were going, and then things started to get kind of like sand down and kind of just flattened out a little bit, and then that there was like the rewrites, and then it was like a bad test screening thing, and then more rewrites, and then the director left. 2 directors come on, big rewrites, all that stuff is like a nightmare for
for production
Animation too.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like,
and it's just like uneven storytelling or whatever, and like remnants of an old story mixed in with new, and that usually means it's going to be a weird, disjointed movie.
yeah.
But if it still worked, then like there's strong
I think
characters
it still
and stuff
worked.
in it.
Yeah. There's strong characters. There's fun little bits. There's this thing where he says like, goodbye, I love you. And they use that throughout the movie where like, they're like, oh, this is a thing that people say on Earth. So they say like, okay, bye, I love you. There's this one character in particular that is just like so funny when he says it. I love his little voice. Okay, bye, I love you.
I have some breaking news.
Ooh.
This
Give
is
us.
It's sad. I'm sorry. Michael Madsen passed away.
Oh no!
I know.
Explosion Jones.
Explosion Jones himself.
Explosion Jones died.
Yeah.
Aw.
I know.
Like
It's a
Is
real
this
bummer.
for real or is this
for
like
real. I'm not joking.
So for anybody who doesn't know, I don't know why you would. Nobody fucking saw the show that we made. But a few years back, we made a show called Explosion Jones. We got a chance to make a show for the El Rey Network, which was run by Robert Rodriguez. And our friends at Octopi at the time were working with them, and El Rey was looking for original content. So we got the chance to pitch a show. I pitched a show called Explosion Jones. It's like a big love letter to my favorite genre of movies, 80s action movies. It was like the precursor to superhero movies. Because it was Robert Rodriguez, all of his buddies and all of his movies and stuff were just like a phone call away. And from what I understand, like our pitch deck was in wherever on a table in El Rey's offices. And Michael Madsen was there, and he saw it and was like, "What is this?" He's like, I want to be this guy. And so
That's awesome.
nice?
And like he was such a champion for the show that he like campaigned to get Carl Weathers on there, who's also passed away. I mean, a couple years back, but like, so he helped like get a bunch of other people along with Robert Rodriguez to be voices on the show.
Did you have Vivica Fox?
Vivica A. Fox, James Hong.
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman was Combustion Jones, his dad. Danny Trejo was the specialist. Such a fun show that was doomed from the start. Like when it was done, it was supposed to be on this thing. I don't even know what you would call it now. It was Go 90. I think it was like Verizon or something.
It just unlocked a memory in my mind. I was like, Go 90. I know what that.
Oof,
I remember that.
Remember when there was there was like, oh, now we have a new network for creative stuff.
Yeah. It was like on cell phones. Like it wasn't even like their iPhones existed, but it was like, yeah, this is going to be like on razors and stuff.
Yep.
Like,
like Yahoo Screen.
Yeah, exactly. The way we planned it out, it was 12 or 13 episodes, and we planned it out so that like each episode was maybe 5 minutes long or 4 or whatever. And each one kind of covered a trope of 80s action movies. But when stitched together, it played as a full like 45-minute like mini movie. What El Rey ended up doing was like taking the full thing, make it into like a mini movie, and then they would just play that every once in a while. Like there was a couple times where they did like a full day marathon of it or whatever. But generally, it was like if you're like a stressed out trucker at 4 a.m., like that's when you're gonna catch Explosion Jones. Michael Madsen was really great. Like. When we did the press junket at New York Comic Con, he was there. He was
you described him as a maniac, and I completely believe it.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like.
So paint the picture.
Yeah, we were there. It was just like a press junket thing, and like Carl Weathers was there, Vivica A. Fox, and a couple of like the producers and stuff from the show. Robert Rodriguez wasn't there, but we were like hanging out. Michael Madsen showed up right before we were supposed to go to like the press junket.
Let's light this torch.
Yeah. And we were like, where is he? And like the most consistent story that we got was that he was flying in from like Cairo from like his son's wedding or something the night before, something like that.
Okay.
But I have no idea. He shows up like right when like everybody's kind of taking photos backstage and stuff. And he's hungover or still drunk from whatever night before. He's just like all over the place. I don't know if he's normally like that or whatever, but so like me and Mike W., who co-created the show, like we go up and like, hey, and he goes, who the hell are you guys? And we're like, we made the show. He's like, and
he puts you in a headlock.
Yeah, basically. And when we got to like the whatever junket thing, talking to like the crowd of 15 people. He's like rambling on and stuff. And Vivica A. Fox was like a total pro. She would just like kind of perfectly kind of weave in and step in and like kind of pick up where he left off, but like get everything back on track. Like she knew exactly she was just saving him a bit of him just like tired and rambling, and she would get things back on track. But one of the things that he would say a lot I think a reason why he really liked that show was because he got to play the hero, like the good guy. He's always known for Tarantino movies or whatever where he just plays a bad guy. He's got that voice, he's got the look, the demeanor, all that kind of stuff of playing a bad guy. And like he just wanted to be a good guy. And like he was, I don't know.
Aw.
Like you know, it's
got to
easy
give him
to
his
like
dream, Mike.
Yeah, it's like super fun. Like there's all the crazy stories. He's a funny, weird dude, like hammered, didn't know who we were and all that kind of stuff, rambling on at the press thing. But like he really loved making that show. And like when we did those episodes, like there was talks or whatever, there was like contract things that were going to be made of like doing something like 50 more episodes like right after that, because they really wanted to keep making it. And so Mike and I started writing the second season, and then like El Rey was like, we don't have any more money left for anything.
We're closing tomorrow.
Yeah, basically. So that was kind of it.
We went under.
Yeah. And then we were trying to get, or Octopi was trying to get the rights back to it so that we can like try to do something with it. That fell through too. And Mike W. even reached out, I think, to the current CEO of El Rey, which only exists as like a fast channel now, I think on Roku. He got in touch with him again. He was just like, hey, if you're not doing anything with the show, can we do something with it? And like he got back to Mike, but like it would be a lot of like legal mess or whatever to kind of figure all that stuff out. But that stinks, man.
Yeah, I'm
that
sorry.
Stinks. Yeah,
yeah. I
see one thing. It says due to cardiac arrest.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's. Yeah,
what a bummer.
Yeah, he was awesome. Like, at least I loved him in everything he did. Like, every time I saw him, like, oh boy, like Free Willy, I'd be like, yes, finally.
All right, this is, I don't even know, Today in Nerd History. The whole thing was Today in Nerd History, I guess. This is more of it.
This is more.
New episode of The Amazing Digital Circus came out about a week ago. I watched it today. I know, AJ, you love this show and doing some deep dives and stuff.
I watched it like twice in a row immediately and then so many times since. Have you watched it, Sal?
No.
No? Okay, well then,
Sorry.
Because of that, you have to at least watch this one part that is insane.
Intermission time.
I mean, this by itself is like a music video that would take months to just figure out the visuals and stuff.
Seriously.
And then he just glitches.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does. It's just so fun. That's like my favorite part of the episode. It's so out there, and it could easily be like the opening credits for every episode because it's just fun and weird and wacky. But they took that whole bit and they put it online as like I don't know if it was like on Instagram or on what, but like Dan sent it to me and I was like, oh, good. Like it just lives as like a continuous loop of insanity
right.
for people to watch. It's so fun.
What did you think of this episode, AJ?
I loved it because of course I did. There's like a couple things. I had this like theory from one of the very first episodes that there was like an NPC walking among them that was like a character that like died but like nobody knew about or something like that. I don't know. I still kind of had this theory. I can get into that later, but I don't know. I liked a lot of it. I like that we had like a bunch of one-off adventures really quickly, like boom, 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 and each of those could have been their own like standalone episode and would have been really fun, but they just rammed through a ton of ideas really quickly.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of little things that I wrote down that I really liked. What was it? I don't know. It's too much to get into. I took 2 pages of notes. It's insane. Look, this is...
Oh, my God.
I took so many notes. Because I was like, what do I talk... Like, there's so much going on. What do you even talk about? And so I broke it down to... Everybody's going to break down the episode and what they think is happening. And, like, you get a lot of backstory from characters. There's this one bar scene, Sal, so... They do a bunch of like mini adventures, and one of the adventures is just they're just sitting at a bar and just like talking, and one of the characters is just playing bartender, and they're like actually talking about their real lives before they got into the circus, and it's like the first time we get some real info about like one of them was an accountant, one of them was like a farm girl, one of them, and then Jax, who is ever the funny guy who doesn't like to get serious, just starts telling a backstory that's just the entire plot of Breaking Bad, and they're like, nah, just never mind, like you're not serious, we're not going to listen to you. Okay, so this is the big thing. I think that scene in the bar is like the heart of this entire episode, especially because it's called Untitled, and each of these little mini bits that they did each had a name. There's Poacher's Paradise was the first one they did, and then they did President Pomni, and then they did the Jap anime one where it was like it's in another language, it's in Japanese, but it says, I used Google Translate on my phone to like look at the screen, and it says The Amazing Digital Circus in high school. And then there's one called Stargazing, and then the bar one doesn't have a title. And then the last one is called Good Old Fashioned Softball. So each of their mini adventures has a title except for the bar, which is in theory Untitled, which is the title of the episode. So Isn't that what it's all about? I think so.
That makes sense, yeah.
That's my theory. Like, that's the heart and soul of what this episode is about.
That bar scene, too, to me, it seemed like it was given the most room to kind of breathe. Like some kind of slow. Everything else felt a little frenetic and jokey and things like that, but like the bar scene, it seemed like a little bit more like focus or whatever.
Yeah. You know? It's a little bit more grounded, a little bit more serious, real.
Yeah.
So I have another thing to share. I wish it was Freddy Freaker, but I can't do that right now. I almost did when I was going to share the intermission, but I was like, I do have Freddy Freaker has something to say. I'm going to call this the 10 things that I think you missed in the episode. So number one is in the beginning, Zubal's reading a magazine and it's called Circus. And it says, "What do your parts say about you?" Which is really fun because she has all these weird little parts. Next, when Kane is flipping through his notebook, he has like some just drawings of bees that he goes through really quick, and then this one is super quick. You like barely even see it, so you have to like pause it to look at it, but it's a picture of Kane as a bee, and it looks like there's an angry bee maybe attacking him and says -10 above him. I don't know why, but this is just a fun little weird thing. Later on, we see in this is number 3, in his notebook, he has a little secret S in his notebook, and you get to see it again when he's holding it. And then he flips around, and then instead of a secret S, he's got a bee on another page. He's really obsessed with bees. Did we talk about this last time? I feel like we
mentioned
did.
It, but yeah, we didn't really
he has a lot of bees stuff everywhere. All right, number 4 is behind President Pomney. There's all these pictures, and I was really interested in, like, what are these? So over on the right, you can kind of see there's a picture of Jax as the terrorist that he shows up as later. And then it looks like one of these pictures is just like a colorful mess. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But next to it, it looks like this is Gummy Goo dressed as some kind of a cake princess or something. I don't know. I think,
it's
but like
eerie.
This face looks like this is Gummy Goo. And if you think I'm wrong, tell me in the comments what it is, because I don't think you can convince me that's not Gummy Goo. That's definitely a Gummy Goo callback. And then you get to see, like, in another shot, you get to see this, like, wide shot, and this is one of the folks that's abstracted over on the side. Yeah. Okay, this is my favorite little bit that if you blink, you'll miss it. Kinger holds up a character sheet, and if you take a screenshot, it's super dark, but if you take a screenshot and then you highlight the screenshot and you take a picture of it, which is what I did, you can see it a little bit better. I don't know if you can see. And you can actually read what it says on his character sheet. So I retyped it because I was obsessed with it. So this is what it says. At the top, it says WAC, and then his hand is there. And then at the end, it's HEET. So I think it says, like, wacky character sheet at the top. So it says, name Mr. Kinger, role assistant to the president, brief, Australia and New Zealand are at war, in capital letters. Motivations. How can we make this not our problem and still benefit? Is there a way to come out of this whole thing with ownership of both Australia and New Zealand? Does kangaroo taste good? No funny business. Do not embarrass the president of this great nation. And then there's a little emoji face that's like a bracket and a colon and a parentheses. So it's like a little furrowed brow guy making a frown. Then it says, in case of character breaks, use the, in capital letters, zone of contemplation, TM, under the president's desk. Don't worry, a baby headlamp has already been installed. And remember, have fun. Yeah. So the fact that she's like, is that a baby headlamp? And he's just like totally cool with it because it was on his character sheet. Yes, it's there. It's under the desk. This is the zone of contemplation that they go in to talk. It's really fun. It's really weird. So you can pause it in 2 different places to try to get the whole thing. Next, in President Pomney's office, there's these 2 shots of the bookcase that's behind Jax, and you can kind of see there's a bunch of weird letters. I don't know what these are supposed to mean. Tell me in the comments if you know what these are. LVII, SCKNB, XTCC. I don't know. It could be names of things. It could be who knows? But over here in the corner, you got gloinks, which is really fun. There's a lot of bees on some of these. And then there's one that's just called Frank, which I really like. Another one that just says egg and Mind Freak. Those are fun. All right. Missed detail number 7. This is when they go into the anime episode. And behind Jax, there's this little Post-it note, and it has this little symbol on it, which is what they use whenever somebody swears. So this is just a Post-it note on the wall with a swear on it, which I think is really fun. And then you see Gangle with her drawings, and you might have been like, oh, I want to see a close-up of her drawings. And you can. They're just like weird little things. But what you might not have noticed is that in the corner here is a little origami of an abstracted person. And it's like, it's great. I love it. It's a fun little detail. That's maybe my favorite missable detail. This is from the intermission. When Jax runs down the hallway, we see Kaufmo is crossed out here. He died before the first episode. Then there's this, which looks like an NPC, but it's a character door that doesn't have anything in it. So I think that this is a person that is actually in the circus, that like we see them at the beginning of the episode, we see them at the end of the episode, and it's like this mystery of who is it? But I think it's a real person that's been there the whole time, and they're just kind of like hiding in the wings. But they also show this little frog with an X through it. So this is somebody that abstracted long before Kaufmo. And because Jax kind of stops and stands in front of it, it's kind of like this is a thing that's among other people on the internet have said, like, we think this might be a friend that Jax had that abstracted. And this is what Ragatha's alluding to when, like, she says, like, oh, he doesn't have friends anymore. I think this was his real friend. This is the little guy sticking out at the beginning. That's the beginning of the episode, and that's the end of the episode. But I think he's a real person. All right, so here's a missable detail. We're almost at the end, and the bar scene. You might have noticed behind them is this weird neon logo. I don't know what it's supposed to say. I don't know. But what you might not have noticed is that one of the alcohol bottles that Zubul uses has what looks like an ocean spray symbol on it, and it's called Digital Caneberry, and there's clearly like a cane on the label, which is really fun. So I want to know, like, what other things did you notice in the bar scene that I missed? And then the last missable details, this is going to be like, I'm going to do a whole bunch of them rapid fire. This is all in the Big Tops, the good old-fashioned softball section. I just like the logo, so I just put this here. But behind them in the stadium are a ton of ads, and they allude to different things from previous episodes. Like Gator Goo is clearly like Gatorade, but it's got gummy goo on here, and it's all you're thirsting for. There's one that says Kaufmo Tire, which is like, what? They made a tire place from Kaufmo, who abstracted? That's weird. And this is from, like, this was a close-up of this long thing. This says CNA, proud sponsor of good old-fashioned softball. And I think that stands for Cain and Abel, although, you know, I could be wrong. There's one over here in the corner that says We Got Bees. There's this thing that says KAAK. I don't know what this means. If you know, tell me. Cack. We can see this a little bit closer up later. I like these a lot. Can't wake up. Try opening your eyes. Tired? Try going to sleep. Those are my favorites. We got the Gloink Depot is new in there. Spudsies from a previous episode. Yeah. And then here's a close up of the cack. And it looks like a guy with just like a hoodie, a little like line drawing of a guy with a hoodie on. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Tell me if you know what it is. We see this behind Jax, and then we get a closer look of it later. And it's got a couple of the same things, but it's got Korn, Task Corp. I don't know what Task Corp is, but I feel like that might be a reference to something. This is the We Got Bees, and then this is something else over here that you can't see. But you've got the Kaufmo Tire, and you've got this here that says Jax. And I don't know what it says above Jax, but this is an interesting, like, what are they selling here? What is this one? I just like all the little ads. And here's a Korn again. Kaufmo. We've got bees. Something, these. I don't know. Changing diversity. What does it say? Changing diversity, I think. CNA. Changing something. And then there's CAC again. That's all I got. All right, those were my missable details. Did you see those? Which ones were your favorite? Which ones? What did you see that I missed that is cool? And I just put this picture in here because I really liked when he zips up Zubal's non-mouth. Just says, what did you even zip up? I don't have a mouth. Just really like that moment.
Nice detective work.
Yeah.
It's crazy just like how much stuff goes into just those background details.
There's so many things.
Yeah. There's all like creative decisions and shit that need to go into that. And it's all stuff that so many people just, it's gone in the blink of an eye and you don't even like spot it. But you know, you take time and pay attention and you get
because I'm a production manager and I'm used to doing like literally stop every frame to see if anything's a mistake. Like I love doing that as part of my job. So when I'm watching something like The Amazing Digital Circus, I'm happy to have it full screen and just like pause every couple seconds and just be like, what's weird here that I'm not, because they're really good at drawing your eye to certain places, but there's so much stuff in the background that's so fun that like, don't miss it. Don't miss those cool little things.
Yeah.
I was trying to find some details before we wrap. I was going to share some stuff. I was trying to find some details just about like Glitch's production or just details about like their camera or lighting. Because there's something about this show looks so cool and interesting and just different than like a Pixar or a DreamWorks or whatever. It just feels different. So I don't know if it's like the type of lens that they're choosing or like everything's shiny and the light, like whoever's the lighting soup on the show is like fantastic because it always looks super interesting. But when I was starting to look for that, I found a cool video that David Fonte, who is the lead post, what the fuck is he?
He's a
post-production lead
something.
at Glitch. So he works on the show. He did a whole thing about the anime sequence in the episode. They searched out first for like an anime studio, like an animation studio that focuses in anime. And they found a small team, but they found this one producer, Belle Brooks, and she's like, she works at a different studio, I think, but she's just like, she lives in Japan. She does anime stuff all the time, and she's like a character director or character designer and an animator and stuff like that. So she was like running this production with like a small team. And so these were her character designs of like translating the 3D characters into like an anime version, which is trickier than what it would seem at first because it's just like getting the right style across and just doing these turnarounds and stuff. And there's like a lot of iterations to go through to kind of get them to feel right and simplified in a way.
Yeah.
So this was one that they were going through with Jax and like
nice.
Trying to just take some inspiration. A lot of it came from like a lot of Cats and stuff from Studio Ghibli and like getting that feel. I don't think this one that is here was the final version because they wanted him to feel a little bit more like this. But there was just some additional. So here's like the final lineup. But it was just cool kind of seeing that whole process go through. I think in total it was like 1 to 2 months of pre-production. So getting this stuff, getting the animatic together, getting the character designs, these sort of like lead backgrounds here, these master backgrounds.
Wow.
So what usually happens is like there'll be a big wide shot. So this is the classroom. So just like in any animation production, kind of start with this wide shot, and this sets the tone of like, all right, this is what the style is going to look like. This is what the room looks like. And then whenever you have like another angle, another artist can use this as reference of like, all right, I need to do like if the camera's going to be on the left looking out the window, I know what the window looks like, what the curtains look like, what the buildings outside might look like, the lighting, all that kind of stuff. And then you kind of have to figure out the rest of the stuff that's not seen here. But like it's the same thing for anime production. These are crazy. So the team that they worked with, it was finished and finalized as like digital animation, but everything started on paper, just traditional paper animation.
Nice.
And like, so, these are like the timing charts here and stuff. Oh, that's weird. I see my own thing. So they're saying like each stage of pretty much each drawing was redone about 10 times. Like each scene was redrawn about 10 times before they finally get to where they want. And everything there, it's just like things are getting tightened up and making sure they're on model. And the way it works in Japan with directors is they also do the storyboards and the animatic. It's sort of like it's just the one position for throughout. It's just like a thing that happens in Japan. So when you do it like in traditional, so this is Belle here. She's kind of explaining the process in this video, and like these are timing sheets or X sheets, which I don't know how to use. I'm spoiled, and I grew up on digital animation, but like this is timing. This is animation timing, and these are notes. Like these are certain keyframes of like when movements are going to happen. So like this is where when the animation comes into the director, like they're getting this section here, and like all these notes is like here's the keyframes and here's the the timing of the actions and things like that. It doesn't even make sense to me, but then like the director like gives their notes like in the next stage here, and they're saying like no, this timing should be like this, and like turn, like it's all this crazy stuff. So that's how they start.
Like at the top
and
it says, please make sure Genkel's body and desk.
Yeah. Oh, this was just another character design thing. But like, it was really neat just to see that whole process. And it's really not dissimilar from like when we farm out a certain thing for another studio or somebody comes to us. It's just like, we need a specific thing.
Yeah.
Let's go talk to Lowbrow. They know how to make stuff that looks like WWE, whatever. Like it was the same exact process for them. It was just they needed somebody like very specific. They've got the resources. Let's get a studio that can do it. But to do like in total all that work, like I was saying before, it was Spoons was the group that did the bulk of the work there. Spoons creative group. So it was 1 to 2 months for pre-production. So animatic, boards, character designs, all that stuff. 2 to 3 months of production. So that's all the animation and everything. And then a month of post-production for that anime style. It's insanely fast turnaround for that.
Just for that little bit. Yeah. Which is like not to say for everything else, including like the insane music video intermission bit.
I know,
like,
right?
How much time went into this episode? There's so
like,
few static shots. It's just like the entire episode is just like new thing, new background, new props, new everything, new character designs for each of them,
new camera angle, all that stuff. Like we're doing a project for Crayola now. And it's 3D, and it's it's a 2.5 minute thing for the internet, and fast turnarounds for stuff. The limit of like we can't have there's too many assets in this whole episode. Like cut this down. There's like no way we can produce all this stuff, and then it's like reuse these camera angles because we don't want to go through the time of like making sure this new angle is right. And like you got to like the layout artist for the show, however many artists that they have for the layout, and that's like. They're putting all the characters in place and they're setting the camera and making sure that the composition looks right and it matches the animatic, all that kind of stuff. Like the people who are doing that are like awesome at it because they can do so many, there's so many different shots. Like you're saying, like every shot's a little bit different. So you got to get them all right. And like for us, it's like, please just keep using like A-B shots where it's like angle here, just reuse that camera all the time. Cause like we don't have time to make it look super fancy and dynamic and stuff, which stinks, but it's like, you got to get it done. So for these, it's cool that like they have, they've earned it, the ability to make a crazy show that looks awesome and like have a great team of artists and stuff and have like the, it's a massive hit. So they have the budget and the funding to do it and make it look as cool as it does.
And they keep coming up with new merch for every episode. They have new merch, which I'm like so happy about, but I'm also like so bummed. I don't know if I brought this up here before or if I just brought it up to someone else recently. Their stuffies, they're like their little plush toys are so cute, but because they're based in Australia, you basically have to pay as much in shipping as you have to pay for the thing itself. So to like make it worth it, like for Christmas last year, I wanted to get my son a Digital Circus plushie, but I was like, in order to pay like $30 in shipping for something that only cost $20, I was like, I would want to get like 2 or 3 or more. I'm like, they need a US partner that can help them distribute for cheaper. Make us your partner. we know nothing about distribution, but let's do it anyway.
Just want to be a part of your world.
I just want to be a part of your world.
That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, leave a comment. AJ, you had some fun prompts in there, but some specifics for the episode.
Tell me if you saw something that I missed that's in the background that you think is really cool. Mention it because I want to know. I'm actually that nerd, and I'll read it, and I will freak out and go find it. Tell me where it is. If there's something that you really liked that you didn't see, be like, oh, I can't believe there was a gloink in, the bookshelf or whatever.
If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, give us a like, comment. All that stuff helps out. You guys got anything to plug?
Nah.
Happy 4th of July?
Yeah.
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rest in peace, Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
I was just texting Mike W. about it, and he was saying something I even forgot about with Michael Madsen, just how much he loved making that show. One of the producers on the show from Octopi, Isaac, talked with Michael Madsen a lot, and Michael Madsen would end up like calling him, asking about like when the show ended and stuff, just calling him like, hey, let's get the show back together. And like end up calling Isaac a lot. And he's like, to the point where he's like, Isaac's like, I'm not your agent though. Like, I don't know, like you have an agent. I don't quite know. He's like,
let's get the gang back together.
I know. Yeah.
That's fun.
Awesome.
I know. I gotta text those guys at Octopi, let them know. I'm sure they know already.
Be like, hey, come on, it's me.
Come on.
Bring it back.
Yeah. All right, gang. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. We like you. We hope you like us.
I also have horrible news for us because it's the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future today. And we made no effort today.
Fuck.
What? Fuck. This is what we should have been prepping for.
I know. I'm like, I got
a
to think. It was like Back to the Future turns 40. I'm like, oh, fuck.
But that's a big one. 40.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, maybe we'll just save that for the next episode.